Good evening, everybody. Welcome to this episode of the Note Closers. And as always, I'm your host, Scott Carson. And today is a very special kind of milestone. It's a really kind of a cool thing that I am excited to announce that this is the 300th episode of the Note Closers show. It is the 150th episode of the Note Closers show podcast, but it is the total 300th Note Closers show episode we've done, with the first 150 being on the Facebook Lives. And then the second half of that, obviously, being on Facebook Lives, but also on iTunes, Stitcher, and all the podcast platforms. So, as always, I'm excited to be here today. Got some great things to talk about today. Some stuff that I have learned over the last 300 episodes. What I would really love it, if you're watching this, what are some of the biggest lessons that you have learned over the last 300 episodes? Because we have covered a lot. We've had some amazing speakers. And so I wanted to start off with just simply thanking all of our past guests who have been on, all our speakers, all of the students, all of our vendors that have made appearances. I have to give a big shout out to our sponsors, Quest IRA, Laughlin Associates. Could not do it without you, those big companies making this happen. So, as always, it is not really an anniversary, but thank you, Laura. It is kind of an anniversary, 300 episodes. If you think back, I was thinking back this morning, last night, about what I offered to discuss, and I'm kind of surprised. I thought we would make this show about our students, because I offered this up on Facebook. Hey, if you're needing help, let's do some live phone calls. If you have any issues or problems or need some one-on-one coaching, let's do it on the phone. Let's do it live. And nobody reached out to me. I'm kind of disappointed that way, but that's okay. We just keep rocking and rolling. I have to give a big shout out also to some of our guest hosts that took the reins over the last couple of weeks while I was out traveling. That's important for us to get to where we need to be. It also allows for us to stay consistent in our tribe's lives. And I kind of jotted down 5 big things that I have learned over the last, almost 2 years, a year and a half at least, because we started this crazy idea. Thanks, Eric Hyde. Started this idea back in late October of 2016. I remember, I think I was watching a Kevin Harrington video, Kevin Harrington, Shark Tank, or I've seen him speak a couple times, always a dynamic speaker. And I remember him talking about how he first used video in his businesses, how it helped obviously with QVC and a lot of those other things to sell things. And I was like, well, I don't really want to sell things on video. And obviously, I've already been doing a lot of webinars, doing a lot of already live streaming our workshops. But I heard somebody mention the whole aspect of just the daily touch, the daily communication with your tribe, just staying in touch. And that's what ultimately the Note Closer show started off doing, was just going to be a Facebook Live. Hey, what's the day in the life of a note investor? What are we up to? What's WCN up to today? What's Scott Carson up to today? So that you guys could I could stay accountable to everybody out there. Hey, here's what we're focused on. Here's what we're doing. And my staff looked at me like I was ridiculous, a little crazy. And you can go back and listen to those, or go back and watch those first few episodes on WeCloseNotes.tv or on YouTube. But the goal was just to stay in touch. What's a day to touch our tribe? What's just a day to communicate, whether it was 5 minutes or an hour, just to touch base with our tribe of investors, vendors, and everybody else all across the country, and actually across the world, because we have followers from just about over 130 countries. And it was just a way just to stay in touch. That was the ultimate goal. And it has evolved into something amazing, which is what will happen if you stay consistent with 300 episodes. We were over 113,000 downloads of the iTunes, well over 500,000 views online through Facebook. Over 100,000 views on YouTube and then on Vimeo as well. So just a really just jacked up about the amount of people that are really enjoying this. And then actually the fact that so many people look for this. And I can remember when Gary Vaynerchuk came out with his book, Ask Gary V. He had his daily podcast. And I was like, you know what? Thinking about Kevin Harrington and thinking about what Gary Vaynerchuk was doing with his stuff, I thought, well, let's do something. It's not the Ask Gary V show, not the Ask Scott Carson. Let's just do what we are. We're note closers. We're closing note deals. Let's talk to those people that are doing that. Let's talk about what we're doing in the daily life, the case studies, the deals, and that's what we've done. And so it's hard to believe a year and a half has gone by. Where does it go? November 1st, 2016 is when we started the first one. Boy, it has evolved dramatically since then, looking at some of those older videos. But what have I learned? I have learned a lot of things over the last year and a half. It seems longer. I will tell you that it seems longer, especially when you're trying to come up with topics or things to discuss on an almost daily basis. But 5 things that I've learned. I think the first most important thing, number 1, is consistency. That has been the underlying and overwhelmingly thing to stay consistent in what you're doing and what we're doing here. Always get it out. Yes, there's been days of travel days where we haven't had episodes, and when I've been off traveling a little bit where we didn't have stuff, and coming back and seeing how the kind of follows, dips down, and it kind of takes a little while to come back up. So that would be the biggest thing. Consistency in anything is important, whether it's making offers, whether it's marketing, whether it's going to work, whether it's riding a bike. Just staying consistent on a regular basis is literally the most important thing you can do if you're going to do anything. A lot of us get paid to be consistent. Can we agree to that? A lot of us get paid a salary, hourly wage to show up at a job. It's important to do that. You got to put consistency is an important thing. And that's, I think Eric Hyde says that too. That was my number 1, too. Just being consistent with it. Just getting message out, whether it's 10 minutes, 15 minutes, or an hour, just a little bit each day in marketing. And that was ultimately is what this has turned into, is my way of okay, how do we market on a daily basis? We walk into our office, always have a marketing mindset of what are we going to accomplish today. And this is, the No Close Show is one of the things that we do on a daily basis. It's very consistent. It gets us on a great mindset, gets my energy up, gets me rocking and rolling with everybody here. Because I'm going to be the first one to admit, there are some days I do not feel like doing shows. There are days I'm like, I just don't have it in me today. We're going to move on. I got enough stuff going on. I don't need to do a show. But I don't try to go more than a day without doing that. Usually it happens on Fridays if I'm traveling, or if we have a fast track where we just have students in. But usually Monday through Thursday, for the most part, provided stuff's a travel day, we're excited to have that. Even when I'm at other events, sometimes it's a great way for me to do a bit of a mind dump on what I've learned at events. Like we've done it from Digital Marketer or Distressed Mortgage Expo, Secret Knock, and other places that I've been to on a regular basis. It's good to do a bit of a mind dump while we're there. Okay. Number 2, the number 2 thing that I have learned over the last 300 episodes is to survive and adapt. What does that mean? Well, our technology has obviously changed quite a bit, and we've upgraded things from going from just doing a straight Facebook Live video straight from our cell phones when it became available, to using Zoom for it, to using BeLive.tv. We have used several things when it comes to it. When one thing falters, or one thing's down, just adapt, survive and adapt. One of the biggest things that was kind of funny this weekend is we had our fast track students coming in, and depending on the weather, depending on how hot it is, we either have the fast track here at our office in Austin, here at the We Close Notes, our headquarters, or just down the street at the Hampton Inn. Why at the Hampton Inn? Well, they turn the AC off here in this big corporate building on the weekends. If it's 100 degrees outside, it gets pretty hot. So we had everybody off site. And Saturday morning, we bring everybody by just to grab some stuff, look at some files, and just kind of let them see where we work. And the overwhelming thing is when people walked into this room, they're like, oh my God, it's so much smaller than we expected. Now, it's not a broom closet. It's about 10 by 15 room here. One office, my other office down the hallway. And then we've also got a lot of flex space. We do stuff. But survive and adapt. We can do this show from just about anywhere, whether it's here with my computer and my webcam and my nice social light and then everything else. It looks really nice. Or we can do it obviously on the road from a hotel or wherever, from Seattle with behind. There's a variety of places that we have adapted to doing it. All right. And we have literally survived power outages, Facebook having a weird algorithm to making things. And that's what I think everybody out there is looking to do something on a regular basis. Just realize you're going to have to adapt. It's good to have plan B, plan C when you have something. If something happens, boom, be able to roll with it, because delivering is better than perfect. I know a lot of people worry about their shows being absolutely perfect before they ever post some things, and I'm absolutely the opposite way. Hey, let's get delivered. We can worry about editing after we get it done. We throw through our production staff, let them mess around with it. But let's get it done. Let's get it uploaded and go from there. Okay? Number 3, biggest thing. Do your thing. Be you. Don't try to be anybody else. That's, I think, is one of the most important factors out there for anybody looking to do anything. And I really came across that so much with Podfest. Going to Orlando and meeting and talking with a lot of other podcasters. There's only about 5. Well, there's about 6 of us that are actually doing stuff in real estate of some sort. Got a chance to meet Tyler Sheff and visit with him a little bit about some things, talk about where we were at and where we're going. And turned out I felt really good about where we're at, not knowing how well we were doing or how bad we were doing or how well we were doing. Walking away from them like, okay, we're doing a great job. Let's just keep doing our thing. Do your thing, all right? And whatever that thing is, just stick to it. Don't try to be somebody else. I mean, there's not that many note podcasts out there. Obviously, now we are now the longest running podcast, which is great. As Eric says, he agrees with me here. Could not agree more with you. Be you, not someone else. Yeah, because God made you. He didn't make you to be somebody else. And so we've taken that approach with the show here is, hey, we're just going to do our thing. Some people are going to like it. Some people aren't going to like it. And we flexed it up a little bit, whether it's content like this, or we bring on interviews, or we bring on vendors, whatever. The whole goal is, hey, this is kind of what we do with our business, and just to be who we are. But we are very focused. I can say this. We've had people reach out to us, say, hey, they love the show, love how focused it is. It's direct. It's not off the hilt with just fix and flips or other stuff. It's literally all about the note business. Some motivation, obviously, which you're going to have that, but strictly focused on that. So that's what we've been very proud of, is that we just do our own thing. Do your thing. And number 4 is to own it. I will tell you this, nobody is going to take your show as serious as you do, or your marketing as serious as you do. That's obvious. You can get excited and you can have staff helping you out or people help you out, but nobody's going to be focused. Nobody's going to actually hit the record button until you're ready to roll. Okay. Yes, you can have support staff. Yes, you can have vendors to help you out with things, but people aren't going to take it as seriously as you do on planning, on production, on making things. And that doesn't mean you do everything. I think one of the smartest things that we do is work with Feed Your Brand and Poditize. I have to give a big shout out to Tom, Tracy, and Alexandra Hazard. We could not do this show without them, and especially over the last 150 episodes. It has been amazing because they are a big part of why we're so successful, is that they do so much of our back-end production, back-end, help us with SEO and marketing to get things rolled out. But like I said before, you have to own it. You have to realize you own this. It's something you can use, it's something you can do on a regular basis, but you have to actually own up to it. Say, hey, this is my show. This is the direction we want to go, and this is what we're going to do. And I think that's the most important with everybody in your life, in your business. You have to own your business. You have to own your entrepreneurial spirit. We're going to proceed down this path. We're going to do this. We're going to run with this, and just own it. Don't be afraid of the namesayers. Don't be afraid of others out there. I mean, we had people like, oh, Scott Carson doing a podcast, whatever. Some of our closest friends are like, thought this would not work very well. You'll never, whatever. Yeah, it's done well. The proof is in the pudding. And so we're very, very proud of that. 5, you have to realize too. I think this is so important. 5, it's not about you. Honestly, this show is not about me. When we started this No Close show, it was for us to touch base with our tribe on a daily basis. And it's not about me. This is about delivering content to our audience. What do they want to listen to? What do they need to learn? What are the questions that they have? And I think we've done a really good job with doing that, of coming up with great speakers and guests, coming up with great content, it's not like our Note Night in America webinars, which are pure hour and a half long content once a week. It's the little bits, the little daily tidbits, the little daily lessons to help people overcome things, or to help them get over the hump, or to motivate them. That's what it's about. It's not about me. It's about helping our listeners out there. It's about helping our Note Nation, our Note crew, WCN crew people. That's what this is all about over the last 300 episodes. And it's about what we can do to help you guys. Look, whether this was going on or not, Scott Carson is going to do fine in business. But our biggest goal, as I said, I say a lot of times, is our goal over the next 5 years is to help create and educate 10,000 note investors. That's a lot of people. The only way we can do it is not by one-on-one conversations, but by one-on-many. How can we get the information out? How can we help people, overcome their obstacles and really take things to the next level? Help them grow exponentially. And not everybody can take and sit down for 8 hours straight for 3 days on a virtual workshop or conference. And so a lot of times people need to take it in bite size, because as we can all agree, the mind can only absorb what the ass can withstand. All right. And so for those of you that binge listen to us or binge watch us, thank you. Those that watch us on a daily basis or download us on a semi-daily basis for the most part, thank you again so much. I think we had a couple questions pop up here. Somebody asked a question about a note deal here, so I'm kind of scrolling back here. So Felicia Ballard asked the question, hey, Scott, I have a question. Have you ever had a homeowner in pre-foreclosure that wanted out of their situation? You called their mortgage company and offered to buy the homeowner's note. Is that possible to do so? So can you give me an example of how that would work, please? So Felicia, this is a very common question we get from people that are kind of new to the note business. And I'm going to tell you this. You're obviously dealing with mailing out to homeowners or pre-foreclosure stuff like that. So we don't do that. What we do is we're dealing directly with a bank on stuff. So occasionally we get people like, oh, can you buy my note from such and such bank? And I will tell you this. It all depends on who the lender is. If you know who the lender is, it might be able to. If you don't know who the lender is, there's no help. But I would tell you this, if it's a big bank, Chase, Wells Fargo, Bank of America, GMAC, most of the time you're not going to be able to buy that one-off note. Okay? We have done it when we've targeted specific assets like that. It only came from either smaller regional banks or banks that we already had a buying relationship with. And we were able to either carve one out and stuff like that. But very, very difficult for you just to call the mortgage company, especially if you're not talking the secondary marketing department or the special assets department. If you're just calling the 1-800 number, they're probably going to tell you no. Okay? They're probably going to tell you no. And if you're looking, the thing you got to keep in mind, if it's in pre-foreclosure, banks can always just, they've already done most of the work. If they've already started the foreclosure process, they're probably not likely to sell the note off unless it's in a longer foreclosure state. There's a lot of kind of variables to your question, but depending if you know who the bank is, great. But if it's one of those bigger banks, it's not going to happen. Okay. What we do, obviously, it works a little bit better, is we contact banks directly and we get the list of notes that they're looking to sell. That helps us dictate offers at that point. But we don't usually go the route of dealing with homeowners and trying to go that route. I can tell you years ago, going back to 2010, I believe, 2009, there was a couple guys that were out there selling a note course, talking about contacting the banks directly, or contacting borrowers directly. These couple of short sale guys, and they were literally contacting borrowers directly and then trying to then contact the bank directly, and that's not a good thing. They were selling this program without the big caveat not to call Chase, Bank of America, Citibank, the bigger banks there. So they were getting people that were upset because they're trying to call to buy the notes directly from those big guys, because that's where a big chunk of what's available out there as far as pre-foreclosures, and people are getting upset. So that's a big caveat. If it's a smaller regional bank, you may have some opportunity there. You just have to keep in mind there's a lot of variables: how far behind they are, how far into foreclosure, what's the situation. What we have done in the past in a variety of ways when homeowners reach out to us, if they want to walk away, just trying to find out what's in default. It might be a good subject to deal, provided that they're not too upside down. If there is any equity, if their interest rate's low, might be an opportunity to do a subject to deal, which I have done in the past by just paying off the rearages. But it varies on the situation. Hopefully that was helpful for you, Felicia. I don't know if you're still listening or watching or not, but all depends on who the lender is. If you say, oh, it's a big bank, then just nope, not going to happen. Lender's not going to sell you. The big bank's not going to sell you a one-off note. Sorry, but we get that question pretty regularly. Oh, yeah, can you buy my note? Yeah, no, sorry, doesn't work that way. The beautiful thing about what we do is that banks provide us lists that they want to get rid of, and we go in and cherry pick that. Okay, you're welcome, Felicia. Glad that helped. Do you know who the lender is on that deal by any chance? If you know who the lender is, mention it there. And awesome. Now, one of the things that I have found from doing this is that this helps my business in other ways. Helps me with raising capital. It definitely helps me with just getting the word out what we're doing, and because we see a huge influx, especially on the SEO optimization with what Tom and Tracy, definitely Feed Your Brand is doing for us. Stuff in regular. So yeah, Felicia's one of the big banks. So yeah, no, not going to happen. Sorry. So there we go. So it helps with any type of marketing you can do on a regular basis, whether it's blogs or videos or emails or social media posts. As long as you're doing consistently and providing great content, it's going to help you, or content of any sort. Some days I know my content is not that great. Other days I know it's off the chart. Luckily, you build a lot of goodwill doing stuff on a consistent basis. And anytime you can do something on a consistent basis, it's going to help you with your business and helping get deals closed, raise more capital, deals moved, get the word out on what you're doing, and build a little bit more of a notoriety for yourself. And I think those that are doing stuff on a regular basis with their emails and things like that are starting to see that definitely across the board. So I know there's some people out there looking to do podcasts on a regular basis, and there's a lot of podcasts. Over 500,600,000 different podcasts are out there. Don't know how many of those are active. I know there's plenty of people that have started podcasts that get to, don't even get 10 episodes in, they cancel. All right. Or they've got, they start going in a different direction. The biggest thing I think that's important is that if you do it, either do it solo, or if you do have a co-host, make sure you're on the same page. I was watching a thing on Real Sports with Brian Gumbel talking about Two Guys in Blazers. There's a podcast these guys do talking about soccer in the United States and how they've just done a tremendous job over the last years, basically being by themselves, growing to this huge kind of following that they're doing, which was phenomenal to hear about. So just make sure you're focused, make sure you've got the same goals. And, even if you rotate, that's great. But if you're going to do two guys or two gals or whatever it is, just stick to what you're going to. Try not to sway too far from your message and your ultimate goal of what you want to do. You want some clearly defined goals to make things happen and stick with it. And so that's been our biggest thing. When I say our, I mean our team, our staff. I have to give a big shout out to Stephanie Goodman as well for not getting so upset. Sometimes we're traveling, doing different things like, oh, I got to go do a podcast episode. More so embracing to the point now that it's important to realize this has become a staple. What was once thought as a little hobby for us has become a very big staple in what we do. So 300 episodes. Wow. 300 episodes. Year and a half, over a year and a half of doing it. Just those are the 5 biggest things: staying consistent, surviving, adapting with the technology when things go sideways, doing our own thing, owning it, taking ownership of what we're doing, and realizing this is not about you, or this is not about me. It's about our audience. And so, yes, you're exactly right, Laura Blanc. Yay, Stephanie Goodman. Now, if we get her to do her Fur Babies podcast, we'd be doing really good. But guys and gals, for those that are watching, if you have anything that you'd like to share, any of your favorite episodes, I know we've had a tremendous amount of guests, tremendous amount of feedback, tremendous amount of comments. And so really, if you have anything that you love to share, let me know. Appreciate it. I always love to see what people's favorite episode is or what their favorite comment is. Now, I literally ran a thing just a few minutes ago here to say what the all-time downloads episodes are. Where is it here? Because the podcast, we track that stuff pretty well, where it's pretty easy to see. I can run this here. Can't really see it on what the Facebook views were, but out of the last 150 episodes, we look back, looking back at what episodes have done well. See, this doesn't break the system again because it takes forever to download, because it obviously has a lot of information to go back through downloads and views like that. At some point, we're going to have to move over to a second series of the No Closure Show on iTunes as we hit true. I think iTunes only allows the first 300 episodes of a podcast to show. So eventually we'll have to migrate over. We're halfway there, which is great. The thing, I see, we look at there, when I first started this, there was just an NBA podcast with Chase and Robbie. Did a tremendous job. I was very, very sad, that they're not doing their podcasts on a regular basis. I talked to Robbie a couple weeks ago. He's moving a different direction that way. Doesn't know if he's going to keep the podcast going or do something new. That's sad. Note Inc., they got the one season. I was glad to see her announce that she's going to come back and do some more episodes after being off for 13 months or something like that. Look, there's plenty of opportunity out there. I'm glad to see a few people. Ryan Barnett's sprouting up with his little podcast. Chris Savini is looking at doing a podcast. Eric Hyde has talked about doing that. Some of these guys out there, they're doing little things. It's great. That's awesome. I'm glad to hear that. We all start little. The idea is to stay consistent and focus to do what you do on a regular basis. And everybody has a different take on things. Dan Zatowski's starting a podcast. Garrison Gilbert is starting a podcast. Look, there's nothing wrong with that. Some people will get upset, like, oh, why are they trying to compete with you? Look, nobody's going to compete with me. That's the biggest thing that you have to realize. As I say, just do your thing. If your thing is doing apartment complex or turnkey rentals, just do your thing. You can't go wrong. It's like doing a video. All right? If you're going to do a video. Just do it. Get the word out there and spend some time on doing it. I know a lot of podcasters that spend 1 or 2 days a month, and that's all they do on that 1 or 2 days to get all episodes filmed. They're not doing a live stream like we are doing. That was a funny thing at PodFest. I learned there's a lot of people stick to the audio side of iTunes, and you have other people that do the video side of doing like a YouTube channel. And there's a lot of crossover there. This is what we've been doing with crossover, uploading our videos to Vimeo and YouTube. We're also throwing it down there. Some people like that, some people don't. The thing you got to keep in mind is just do your thing. It's not a competition. I don't look as at, I'm going to go out there and knock out 1 million episodes in the first year. That's probably not going to happen with our niche. Okay? There are guys that learn at podcasts been doing their show for 3 years and have barely 100,000 downloads. But they have a niche in what they do, and they're really good at their niche. That's awesome. I also met a guy, Glenn, who has got like 26 different equestrian podcast types that he does. I may be a little extreme there, but there's a audience out there of people who are exactly like you. There's a niche out there that people are looking for help. They're looking to connect. I think Facebook has brought that together with groups since its beginning. But the whole podcast fad, I won't say it's been around for a while. It's going to be around a whole lot more, because the more people can do on their phones, the more they can listen to things, the better off I think we're all going to be, because it becomes smarter and faster to make things out. All right. So, Steph says, thumbs up. Thank you. Eric Hyde, thank you. Eric said, I love hearing from other investors like Adam Adams to see how they run their business. I always get new insights. And I think that's exactly why we bring so many people on, Eric. We love people on different experiences, whether they're kind of brand new in the business, closing their first few deals, or they've done, they're getting close to 100 or 100 plus, like Eric has done. Eric said you also like when I started in your top 10 markets to invest in. The episodes really dove deep into each market. Yeah, we're not finished with that. We've got more of those markets to come. Just a matter of getting people coordinated into a podcast and getting them scheduled. So we've got more of those top 10 markets to go from, besides Columbus, Detroit, Indianapolis, Birmingham, South Florida. we've got several more markets to come as we dive into those going forward as well. So thank you for sharing. I appreciate that as well. So guys and gals, I want to say thank you again. We could not be at 300 episodes without you guys, without you listening. Thank you so much once again for listening, for sharing. If you really enjoy what we do, hey, do me a favor. Hey, leave a review on iTunes. Make sure to do that for us. That helps us out tremendously. Those that are looking at our show and listening and reading the reviews before they listen to the show. As always, if you know somebody who's interested in notes or somebody who's interested in real estate investing, feel free to share the show with them. Thank you for all you guys that comment on Bigger Pockets and other platforms like that, recommending the show. Totally appreciate it. And we'll continue to strive to deliver great content, great speakers, great guest hosts, and just over a great overall experience for all our listeners out there in Note Nation. So go out, do something, and we look forward to seeing you and to continuing to see you at the top.